Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, checking in with part 2 of my weekly garden tour as we kick off the first week of June. So as you can see behind me, this border has pretty much finished blooming, at least the poppies have, but none of the seed is quite ripe. So I wanted to show you the stage that they're in now. This is the do nothing to them stage, okay? So if you have poppy pods that look like this, remember this border was sown on January 3rd. This is the stage where you just walk away. Don't mess with them at all. If you harvest them at this stage, the seed isn't ripe and you will likely not get great germination. So you need to allow those seeds to fully mature before you harvest. Mom, I'm saying this for you because she informed me that she's been collecting her pods about 2 weeks earlier than she's supposed to. And I was like, obviously you're not watching my videos. All right, let me turn the camera around so you can see everything else that's growing out front. Well, the pots are doing really well. Again, these nasturtiums are like out of my dreams. I know I keep saying it, but I have never, ever had nasturtiums do this. I mean, they're literally eating the coleus that's in there. But that's okay. I don't think the nasturtiums will actually live all summer, but I mean, we're gonna all just see how it goes. And Reginald would like to be the tour guide. So today was our first day that actually felt like summer. I'm so relieved that it finally arrived. Go ahead and get that crabgrass out of the wall. I know that the mangaves will really appreciate some heat. So I bet by the time I get home, they will have gotten larger. As you can see here, the coleus are starting to fill in. This red one seems to be the most vigorous. It's already kind of covering up. I'm ready for the petunias to like do their thing and get bigger. They're a little bigger than they were when they arrived, but they haven't really gotten much bigger. So, you know, again, I have low expectations for the petunias, but we'll see. This milkweed in a container is just rocking and rolling. Haven't seen very many monarchs, but I think I've seen at least 1 or 2. And next to that, I wanted to show you the Phlomis fruticosa, or the Jerusalem sage, which is in bloom. Of course, it's stretching out because it's getting a bit too much shade under this weeping hackberry. And it always grows over the driveway. It's a kind of a dumb place that I planted it, but they can be a little bit tricky to get established. So I was putting it here because the adjacency to the concrete gives it a microclimate. But of course, the disadvantage of that is now it's constantly growing over the driveway. And out here in the border, Emily has done a great job collecting seeds so far. We have so much bachelor button seed, I don't even know what to say. Almost all of these poppies are finished and harvested. So we've got some gladiolas getting ready to bloom. I am really excited to get this border replanted. It's definitely going to be the #1 thing we do as soon as we get all the last of the seed harvested. Big plans and awesome plants are going in here. It's going to be like I've never done it before. We have a lot of like hot pinks, and it's not usually the color scheme I go with, but this year we're diving in. Well, the wave that the Carey Academy students planted back in November is ready. It is ripe and ready. And in fact, the birds have gotten quite a few of the seeds already. They really love the oats, and that's totally fine. This is on Emily's to-do list for this week while I'm away, to harvest the seed so that we will be able to mow down the biomass and then get this border replanted for the summer. And you can see the shady side still looks quite good. All those carrots, gosh, they're so spectacular. And you can see in here that there's also a gardenia in bloom. And before, I actually sat on the hammock, first time this whole year, for about 15 minutes, and the sun was shining on me and the smell of the gardenia is wafting in the air, and it just is like the ultimate sense of summer, and I love it so much. Out here in the shrub border, I had Emily fill in a couple of the holes with some native perennials, just so that they'll basically do what these are doing. This is again Bright Eyes, Phlox paniculata. Over here we've got a good stand of Pycnanthemum muticum, the mountain mint. That just, again, the purpose is to fill in the gaps, make it so that there won't be weeds, make it so we don't have to mulch. This sedum kamchaticum is doing really well, filling in. And you can see here is where she put in a whole bunch of Carex. I think that's Carex lurida, and some other native perennials here. Now I'm gonna have to have her bring some water out to this. As you can see, that very sad viburnum. This section of this border is very dry. It's very difficult to get a hose to. So we'll have to make sure that we give all these plants a little extra water to get them established. I haven't looked at the forecast, so I'm not sure if there is rain heading our way at any point. I'm focused on the forecast and the places I'm going, which is quite warm. Now here again, she filled in with Carex cherokeensis, which is doing really well under the other live oak. And so I think just filling in this corner, it's gonna do really nicely. And out here in the driveway beds, you can see the pink muley grass. It loves to be driveway adjacent. It's the best muley I have on this property. Of course, that Eucomis camosa, the sparkling burgundy in there, I think looks really cool with this carrot. And then the lunaria, or the money plant, is at its seeding stage. It's not ripe yet. This will turn completely translucent when the seeds are actually ripe. In contrast, on this side, you can see Reginald, and you can see more pink muley grass, again, that's kind of put itself closer to the driveway, and then the Lychnis coronaria has kind of taken over this side. And I didn't do this. I didn't plant carrots there and Lychnis here. It's just that this is where the plants have sort of decided they want to be. And I'm really at a stage in my gardening life where I want to pay more attention to that, because that is meaningful. When you have a happy plant in the place it wants to be, it's going to be lower maintenance. Now under this live oak, you can see more sparkling burgundy, Eucomis camosa. Really spectacular plant. I mean, it's best in full sun. When I planted this, it was full sun, but now this is almost full shade, and you can see how remarkable that plant still is. And in this border, you know, we've got a bunch of different phloxes. Of course, we've got that tiarella that I planted earlier this year, and then ground covers of hardy chrysanthemums. You know, overall, this is a shrub border, but it has a lot of perennials added as well, basically to kind of cover up the ground plane, reduce weeding, and reduce the need for mulch. Now, I did want to note that today one of David's dreams came true. So when we first started talking about having an Airbnb, what was your fantasy?
I could ride people around in old cars.
And it happened. It happened a few weeks ago when Christy came for the open garden.
Yep.
And we visited the Sabios and we took out Big Ben.
Yeah, the old Mercedes.
But today we got to take Lucy and her friends from college. And by the way, everybody, Lucy is the teacher that brings the students from Cary Academy. So it's really special to have her come and stay here with her, you know, lifelong friends. And David just took them to town so they could bar hop in Fuquay. Yeah. In the topless Rover. Yeah. So I think is super extra fun. And so I also want to note to everybody that when I moved to Fuquay in 2006, there was nothing, okay? Like the downtown was basically boarded up. And I only moved here because it was the cheapest place to buy a house in Wake County. It was the only place as a single woman I could afford a house. Now, David, you grew up here.
I did.
So you've seen this like way more full circle than me.
Yeah, it's happening. There's a lot of people moving here.
A lot of people have moved here. There's lots of great restaurants and fun businesses. And now there are people who are actually coming to Fuquay because it's fun.
Yeah, that just happened.
And it's like, I think one of the coolest things ever.
Yes.
Like, it makes me feel totally justified that we live here.
It does.
And
yeah.
we have no plans of moving from here.
Nope.
Because they're building a Wegmans down the road. And that is really all that matters. Is that we're going to get a Wegmans. And that people can rent the Airbnb and David can be their private Lyft driver in way cooler cars than what you would normally get through the Lyft app.
Yeah.
So there you have it. There's a reason to come and visit, everybody. So Reginald wanted to lead the tour again. And he does like this little section. Now remember, this is an area that I planted with more native perennials. And so far, so good. We've been keeping everything watered. And I've just got to shout out again to this fabulous oak leaf hydrangea. This is Jetstream. And everything about it, I think, is perfect for residential landscape. Like, it's not too big, but it's not too small. The flowers are to scale with the leaf size and just the overall plant as a whole. And this really does not get supplemental water. And it's at the base of a water oak. So it really is holding its own. I am having to water these perennials that are planted out front because they wilt pretty easily. And I think that the bug box looks awesome. We have a lot of new stuff to be able to fill in here. So we're going to be using a lot more poppies, kind of fill in some of the areas that are open. I'm excited to get to be creative with that. And all of these containers with the raspberries from Bushel and Berry are doing wonderful. I mean, look at all those. They are so delicious. These have been fruiting for at least a month. Look at the blackberries coming on this plant. That one's, it's not quite ripe, but exciting to see. And I wanted to show you this pretty corner. Look at that sun, the angle of the sun at this time of day is so beautiful. But these are a great Shasta daisy from Walter's Gardens. They've been planted for, I'm gonna say 7 years or so. And then there's this sweet little hybrid Monarda that's not so aggressive. That's also from Walter's. And then of course you can see the money plant, not ripe yet, but you know, it's continuing, but it'll be completely translucent. And then you can see all of this Nigella. None of this is ripe yet either. So when these turn tan and are dry, that's the sign that the seed is ready. Well, everybody, I hope that this weekly garden tour will serve as inspiration for you. Like I said yesterday, I'm really excited about getting all of this stuff harvested and getting everything replanted for the summer. I've got big plans and really cool plants. So I do hope that you will subscribe so that you will stay in the loop and see everything that we are doing so that you can learn from our process. Well, as always, I thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll tune in tomorrow for an update from the Carolina Garden House native plantings. Happy gardening, everybody!